Often the best, most exciting stories are the ones that seem impossible. You wonder, how on earth are we going to tell this one? For instance, how do you approach a gang of pirates terrorising shipping on the high seas? With extreme caution and a posse of armed guards, for a start. These modern-day buccaneers have made a business out of hijacking cargo ships and tankers, holding the crews to ransom. And we're talking millions and millions of dollars, cash. They operate from a desolate, lawless place where all foreigners are fair game for kidnappers. So lawless that even Prime Minister Rudd warned us not to go there. We've come to the treacherous east coast of Africa to meet some of the world's most wanted men. These are the pirates of Somalia, holding the world's shipping industry to ransom. We're off the coast of Somalia. Red Sea and Suez Canal are up there, the Indian Ocean just down that way. It's the busiest shipping lane in the world. More than 20,000 ships go past here every year. That's more than 50 ships a day. For these pirates, it's a smorgasbord of untold riches. Running the gauntlet with a pirate crew is a risky business. These waters are now heaving with Navy ships, an international anti-piracy force bristling with firepower. And they mean business. It's little wonder, because, believe it or not, this ragtag bunch in their tiny tinnies have already hijacked a fleet of ships. The pirate king, Indiander, and his motley crew have made a fortune holding a gun to the head of some of the richest maritime companies in the world. You've got 7 ships. What did you get for the first one?
$2 million.
How much did you make for number 2?
About 1.6.
Ship number 3?
The third ship, 2 million.
Altogether, the 7 ships earned the tidy sum of $12.6 million US dollars. You're making riches beyond belief. Really, you're just a crook, aren't you?
I want to answer this question. The money we collect from the ships is not an income that goes into the pocket of one person. A lot of people, a lot of human beings survive on this money along the shores of Puntland.
Puntland, in northern Somalia, has become the modern-day pirates' lair and just as hidden away. To get here, an old Russian plane flies us east from Djibouti across the top of Africa to a tiny, forlorn port called Bosaso. This is a no-go zone for Westerners. Just like the passing ships, we run the very real risk of kidnapping. So we've hired 15 local militia to guard us. Even so, the Australian government, including the Prime Minister himself, pleaded with us to cancel our trip. This is one of the reasons why Prime Minister Rudd didn't want us to come here. Survival is all about how many guns you've got. For the other reasons, just take a look around you. These people have absolutely nothing. The idea of becoming a pirate and earning millions is very attractive indeed. The archaic port of Bosaso is a tiny speck beside the shipping superhighway of the world. The Gulf of Aden was once a fisherman's paradise, Africa's leading source of crayfish. But the locals say their seas were raided by foreign trawlers. So Indiander says now the fishermen catch big ships instead.
We do it because foreigners looted our oceans. The trawlers sucked out every fish like a vacuum cleaner. We don't care whether we live or die, because there is nothing left to live for. If the first man falls, we send up another man.
How do you climb up the ship? Up the ship? How? Rope? Yeah.
We use a ladder, like a hook.
grappling hook.
We don't harm the ships. We collect taxes from them.
These men see themselves as Robin Hoods of the high seas, fighting for justice. And they've become very good at it. You have a tiny boat, you're in a very big sea. How on earth can you catch a supertanker?
We approach from behind the ship while it's cruising. We target the anchor, the hole where the anchor comes out, and throw a rope with a hook on the end. And then we climb up. We use tactics that you won't understand. But let me say, when someone is hungry, he is capable of doing anything.
What sort of ransoms are being demanded?
Anything up to 20, 30 million is a first demand.
Why are they being paid? Why are people rolling over?
If you simply refuse to pay, I mean, the pirates have a lot of hostages. And the consequences of those being shot, for instance, would be unimaginable.
It's costing the shipping industry a fortune. Most of that money comes from the insurer, Lloyd's of London. Neil Roberts says the pirates demand ransoms in cash before they release a ship and its crew.
Sometimes it gets parachuted in, more likely it's delivered by a small boat. This is a big pile of money. It's going to be heavy, as we saw when it sunk one of their launches a couple of months ago.
Did they recover the money?
Well, some of it was recovered on a body that arrived on the beach with about 150,000 on it. I mean, some of it went down, obviously.
Somalia has been racked by bitter civil war for nearly 2 decades. The film Black Hawk Down told how feudal warlords drove out the American army in 1993. And there's been a lot of killing and dying ever since.
We know we have committed an offense, but when you lose your livelihood, you have nowhere to complain, nowhere to take your case to.
So the pirates took the law into their own hands. And even the full force of the world's navies has so far failed to stop them. The International Naval Armada trying to intercept the pirates off the coast here do have some help. Turns out Puntland has a coast guard. Now, I've been invited here down to the wharf to have a look. Let's go and see what they've got. It turns out the Coast Guard consists of a dinghy, a patrol boat with ancient weaponry that's seen better days. These are for pirates? Yeah. 50 caliber. And this second-hand vessel purchased from the Japanese Coast Guard. They've been fired on by pirates and even captured a few. Trouble is, most days it stays tied up at the wharf. How many times can they go out per week?
Actually, we go a month twice, patrolling the area.
Twice a month?
Once a month.
That's all the government can afford?
That's all so far we can afford.
Today, we set out to check on a suspicious fishing boat. If they are pirates, they've ditched their weapons overboard. And with no evidence, the Coast Guard captain lets them go free. But further offshore, the International Task Force tells us they've caught a pirate boat red-handed. Trouble is, what to do with them? Most are simply handed straight back to Puntland, into a barely functioning legal system. Here, they join 300 pirates bursting the seams of local jails. That night, the police commissioner proudly introduced me to the latest batch, accused of trying to hijack an Indian ship. Are you all pirates?
No. We are fisheries.
You are fishers?
Yep.
Why are you under arrest? They say you are all pirates.
No, we're not pirates.
Have you ever been a pirate?
No.
Well, they say you are all pirates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pirates.
No, we're not pirates. Who said that guy is a pirate?
Well, that's
he's
why
a foolish man.
Sir, that's why you are in jail. That's why you have got chains on your leg.
What?
Because you've been arrested as a pirate. You tossed your guns overboard, did you?
No.
The Americans said
We have not any guns.
you were looking for an Indian ship
No.
to hijack.
No.
And this is Puntland's problem. With no proof, no evidence, even the police commissioner can't tell me what will happen to these men. Do you think they are pirates?
We don't know. The American we catch, and they say there's pirates, but we don't know what they are.
If these pirates were bank robbers, if they were stealing the same amount of money from the Bank of England, they'd either have been shot or thrown into jail by now, wouldn't they?
You would hope so. Certainly, if they were in England, you'd be able to prosecute them properly.
So even when you catch these people,
There's not much you can do.
Somalia needn't have imploded like this. Beneath the desert, there's thought to be an ocean of oil just waiting to be exploited.
When we had the Civil War, everything collapsed.
Local businessman Liban Bogor dreams of the day when foreign investors feel secure enough to come and share the riches. But let's face it, while the warlords tear each other apart, who'd want to take the risk? It doesn't look particularly safe here, if you don't mind me saying, with all these weapons, but you assure me I am.
We are very safe here. The weapons, I mean, as you have seen lately, there was a surge in pirates and the kidnapping, but it's a lot more peaceful than a lot of places, regardless of all the guns that we are seeing today.
But still, we were told not to set foot anywhere here without armed guards. And right now, the most lucrative business in this dirt poor town is holding ships and people for ransom. How do you make it less attractive, though, for the pirates not to take up arms when they're coming from such poverty?
Well, that's what we're trying to do, but that's why we want to have foreign investment. That's why we want to create employment for the pirates. Nobody wants to do something illegal if they can have an alternative. We have to create the alternatives for them.
Even Indianda says he'd give up the pirate's life tomorrow if he could see a better future. If the international community made sure that your waters were okay for fishing, would you go back to fishing?
Yeah, that would be okay.
Yes.
Well, okay, that's.
So you really don't want to be a pirate?
Well, first we must see if we can trust them. The thing is, we must see them stop, and the oceans are secure.
But you would prefer not to be a pirate?
I've been forced by the situation to become a pirate. I never wanted to become a pirate.
But when he dropped us back at the beach, Indianda was set to head straight back out, willing to risk everything and stop at nothing.
Naftayada riski ma gelinin.
We made the decision to take the high risks and capture the ships. Even if we die, we won't stop until something is done to stop them and to help us.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.